All right, would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Jody, could you call the roll, please?
Dennis,
Here.
Harold,
Here.
Hollenbaugh,
Here?
Musgrave,
Here.
O'Dorisio,
Here.
Phipps, here, Robinette.
Here.
The minutes from our October 21st meeting were distributed for your perusal prior to this evening. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Jody, do we have any correspondence?
Yes, I have one item tonight. I have an appointment to city boards and commissions as requested by Mayor Osbacher. The request is for Ryan Rothenbuehler to serve on the revolving loan fund committee through May 31st, 2026. The appointment is effective immediately.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold,
I move that we approve the appointment as specified.
Second.
properly moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, welcome aboard. Lobby visitations.
Mary Hinkleman.
Hello, everyone. Mary Hinkleman, Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, address 217 South Church Street, and you probably know why I'm here. I have a little thing coming up called the Holiday Parade. November the 23rd, and the parade is full. We are actually having to turn people away so we can get everybody down Main Street. 10 bands. We had 11, one fell off, and we were like super excited because we passed that 10 mark, but 10 bands, including the Bowling Green High School and the Bowling Green State University bands. So super excited about that. Lots of floats, 90 units, and we've had our logistics meeting, and we are raring to go. Along with that comes a way to get support the efforts of the Bowling Green Chamber of Commerce Foundation for the holiday parade. And one of the things we have going on, a little twist on what we've done the past couple years, we have the holiday parade experience. And there are raffle tickets available online from our website right now. It's kind of exciting. We've got 2 ways to be in the parade and 2 special ways to watch the parade. First Responder Spotlight, where you can one lucky family will win the opportunity to be in the parade with Chief Mormon in the fire truck. Super excited that he was so kind to do that. They'll have breakfast, pictures with Santa, and then off they get whisked to be in the parade. We have the celebration experience, which is BG Pedal Company, who has been super supportive of the chamber and their efforts. And a group of up to 14 can be on the pedal bike, and others can walk alongside, but they'll have stocking caps and some breakfast items and just a lot of fun being in the parade. We have the Royal Balcony Experience, which is AWV's balcony above our offices on the corner of Clough and Main Street. Great way to view the parade, nice and warm, and you can join their family-friendly office party if you win that raffle. And the last, but certainly not the least, our Executive Suite Experience, which will be on the 2nd floor here in the city building from the break room. And they have a beautiful view up North Main Street, and they will have a Beckett's breakfast brunch up there, and just enjoy each other's company. So if anybody's interested, please buy some raffle tickets. It will fully support the holiday parade. And we also have Giving Tuesday coming up on December the 3rd. That's an all-day event, and this is our 6th year of doing the Giving Tuesday event. It's a international movement to help organizations raise money, find people to help them in their missions, whether it's volunteering or providing talent to them. So on that day, we start out at Bigby with a radio remote with the morning show, Clint Corp, and we have 10 organizations coming in to let the community know how they can support each of those organizations. Big B's being super kind to the Bowling Green Chamber of Commerce Foundation with giving 50% of their sales at both locations all day long. So please get your fill of Big B on December the 3rd. And then we also have the State Bank, who is going to have the Gives truck out once again. We will be at Brookdale from 4 to 7, and we will have Sue Shank cookies for the 3rd year in a row. And every single year they run out, so get there soon. Any donations made for those Sue Shank cookies and hot chocolate, they will be doubled by State Bank. Again, also helping the foundation with their efforts. Any questions? I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Kathleen Dennis.
Common mistake. Good evening. I'm Kathleen Dennis, 402 Buttonwood Avenue. I want to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. Tonight, I'm reaching out to the members of City Council, Mayor Osbacher, and the City Administration to ask that you start right now requiring the use of green infrastructure in your engineering projects across the city, including in residential and commercial developments. I also am requesting that you adopt the Climate Action and Resiliency Improvement Plan, or CARIP, recently developed by members of the city governance, the BGSU Sustainability Officer, and private residents of the Bowling Green community. The time is past for simply considering the utilization of green infrastructure in projects that you are implementing. This is an essential practice for the development of resilient cities. We as a community need to act now with every single consideration pertaining to how BG revitalizes, grows, and builds our resilience and sustainability. Please begin now by retrofitting your plans for a shared use path along South Main Street between Gypsy Lane Road and Napoleon Road. The area is one of the largest heat islands in Bowling Green. Any alterations to this area should ameliorate the impact of these existing conditions. Your plan to add a shared path without providing substantial green infrastructure will do nothing to improve this area and will only repurpose asphalt. These plans, as well as the Brim Road plans, should be retrofitted to include associated green space. I do note that there is some GI already considered for the plan on Brim Road, but it's not enough. The trails should be planted to include trees, native wild grasses, flowers, and shrubbery. These plantings will help sequester carbon, rebuild the compacted and depleted soil in the area, provide infiltration and purification of stormwater runoff, help clean our air, contribute to the reduction of the intense heat associated with heat islands, and provide much-needed natural areas for the health and well-being of the community members who live, walk, and work in these areas. Research studies show that the inclusion of green space in neighborhoods and towns helps lower stress levels, improves concentration, enhances learning, it cultivates joy, and encourages stewardship. Essentially, adding green space to an area where you know you have added housing for those whose socioeconomic path has been more difficult will go a long way towards restorative care for these community members. This reason alone should be enough motivation for the city to make the necessary changes in these plans, particularly for the South Main Street plan. This is a good time to stop and reconsider as the mayor and the administration are preparing a new budget for approval. It's also a good time to approve the Climate Action and Resiliency Improvement Plan so that other resiliency recommendations can also be included in the budgetary process. One last consideration is to develop opportunity for participatory budgeting processes that will allow residents to provide important insight into budgetary planning that will improve sustainability and resiliency in our city. You have so much on the ball when it comes to moving sustainability and resiliency practices forward. not just the CAREP, but also you have a sustainability officer. You have a communications officer that was the sustainability officer who can help communicate these important topics to community members, developers, engineers, city planners, and others who are involved in infrastructure development. And you have an arborist who can guide your tree plantings along these pathways. Please utilize their education, their intelligence and creativity and to improve our resiliency as a community and add the much-needed green space for improving the lives of community members in the South End and other areas of town. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's everyone for this evening.
Okay. That brings us to the introduction of new legislation.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
from the Finance Committee, I have a resolution authorizing the municipal administrator to sell surplus city-owned property by way of internet auction.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold.
from Transportation and Safety Committee, I have an ordinance amending and adopting Section 73.15B of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding speed limits.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps.
from the Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee, I have two ordinances this evening. The first is an ordinance accepting a deed from Ohio Logistics Limited and dedicating the property for right-of-way purposes, for right-of-way and all municipal and utility purposes. The second is an ordinance accepting an easement from Mauer Rentals LLC and declaring an emergency.
All right. And from Public Utilities, I have three. I have an ordinance authorizing the Utilities Director to enter into contracts for supplying annual inventory requirements, underground and overhead lines insurance, and the sale of scrap materials in 2025. An ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator and utilities director to sell or trade vehicles and equipment no longer needed for municipal purposes. And an ordinance authorizing the utilities director to execute a power purchase agreement with American Municipal Power Incorporated and declaring an emergency. All right, that brings us to official reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, council. Not really a report, just a couple of quick comments. First of all, in response to all of the events detailed by Mary in her remarks to council, people in Bowling Green just can't sit idle. We talk frequently what a busy season we have, the festival season during the course of the summer, and it truly is busy. It occupies a lot of people's time planning and presenting those events. Well, clearly, there is not people taking the holiday season off because, as Mary has indicated, there's a lot going on. And I think these are also events that really contribute to the fabric of life and the feeling of community here in Bowling Green. And I'm really grateful for Mary and others who are, involved in presenting these events because they all matter. As we enter the holiday season, I think the events that Mary just listed really are just a short sampling of opportunities that there for members of the community to participate in the spirit of the season. And I hope that everyone will recognize that this is a season of giving. And there are opportunities, there are people in this community that could benefit from a little bit of help and attention from those of us that have means or the ability to do so. So I hope that everyone will honor the spirit of the season and find some time to get involved and make the season special for someone who could benefit from such an effort. Finally, just get on my soapbox as I do every year on this event or this evening, the night before election. I'm guessing that many people, either in attendance or watching, have already voted. If that's the case, I salute you for executing your civic responsibility. In my view, voting is one of the most important and significant responsibilities that we have as citizens. So if you have not already, I'd like to encourage everyone to take advantage of the opportunity to get out tomorrow and cast your vote and make your voice heard. That's all I have, really. Just thank you for the opportunity to address councils, and I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for the mayor? All right, thank you very much. Municipal Administrator, Ms. Treader.
Good evening, Council. I was asked to provide an update on our rental registration and self-inspection program. Planning Director Heather Saylor was unable to attend tonight, so she has shared some information to share with all of you. So as of this morning, there are 7,317 registered rental units in Bowling Green. Of those 7,317, we have received online submissions in the portal of self-inspection of 6,964, which is over 95% of the registered units. Now, one thing we want to break down a little bit about the 353 dwelling units that have not submitted self-inspection. So one thing to know is that 2 of these are very large complexes. One is a 126 unit and the other one is a 96 unit. So once those are submitted, there would be 131 units still in need of submitting their inspection forms. One of those large complexes is the Summer Grove Apartments, which is a new construction project. 4 of the 6 buildings have been completed, and only about 10% of the units have been leased as of this morning. And those units were just registered 2 weeks ago, so they are in process. Of the 131 units then, once we continue to break it down, there are approximately 49 total property owners who are accountable for the missing inspections. 28 of those 49 have not responded to us as of yet. They represent 38 dwelling units, meaning that the majority of these only have 1 or 2 dwelling units that they are caring for. The other remaining owners, the 21, have been responsive, and we are actively working with them on getting their inspection forms submitted. We also have 12 units that are currently not occupied and or under renovation. So what will happen from here? Staff has reached back out since the deadline has passed with emails and postal mail notifications, providing a 30-day window, and we are also calling on those folks to work through it. And as a reminder, our goal is compliance. So if from here there is a blatant lack of communication after this 30 days, the ordinance does allow that owners could be dropped from the self-inspection program and subject to an administrative penalty. We're working with City Attorney Brown on those steps should those be necessary. Please note that we are also working with the owners of 19 dwelling units who indicated 1 or more inspections as a failed category on there, and they have 30 days to fix those. We are working through those issues with them actively, again, with the goal being compliance. Also, we are working with our users to do some adaptations to the system. As you know, this was something we had to set up from scratch. It's something that's we've been under development for several years so far, and we will be making some modifications in the system to make that easier for our users. In sum, we feel pretty positively about the results of the program. We think over 95% compliance at this point is a positive result, and that we have so much in process. Of course, we're being attentive to those that aren't. We've also heard anecdotally that hundreds of work orders and repairs were made throughout this process. So as these self-inspections were ongoing, people were making those repairs, they were making modifications before they submitted their inspection forms. And we feel that this positively correlates with one of the very first stated goals of this program, which was to improve housing conditions in Bowling Green. We'd also remind you that the registration program itself was considered a success in that it increased our information to have local contacts for people who own homes in Bowling Green and property owners, and that helped helps not only with this self-inspection process and everything that we've been working through, but also with city services, including the police, should they need to respond and contact a property owner and they have to have a local regional agent here. And we want to remind you that this will always be a work in process. Of course, as properties are sold, as ownerships change, as things evolve, this will be a program that we'll always be working on, and as with any city service, working to improve to the best of our ability. So I'm going to be turning over my report to one of my colleagues here in a moment, but I want to pause first to see if you have any questions about this information and or anything else from me.
Any questions for Lori this evening?
Yes, Mr. President. I guess first I'd add, I think that's a very important point. We say we've got 95% compliance with self-inspection. A lot of that is because when you go to submit this self-inspection form, it does not allow you to fail. My question actually would be about the amendment to 73.15B. There was a speed study that was referenced in the notes that we were given in advance. Could you send that to the members of council before we vote on this legislation?
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right. My colleague, Keith Kirby, who is our IT director, is here this evening. As we've been doing for the past several months, we have been asking various department heads to join us here in the council chamber to give updates on their areas. And I think, Keith, did you come early on to council to get introduced so that you were a familiar face, or is this your first time here?
Let me turn this on. I have met several members of the council, not everyone, but yes, a lot of familiar faces I see.
So Keith is one of our newer members of the staff, but doing a fantastic job for us, a difficult job for us, and a very important job for all of us to be able to do our jobs. So with that, we've asked Keith to give an update, and I'll turn it over his way.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. I'm here to give you my yearly update, which in my case will be about an 8-month update, because that has been my time here. So I'll give you a brief update. It's been about 8 months. We've been working very hard for the city. I'm going to start with enhanced security measures. We've made significant strides in improving the city's overall security infrastructure, positioning us for stronger audit results and compliance with industry standards. We've also been working hard on adopting standards and best practices. Our team has successfully implemented a range of best practices and standards that were not previously in place. This has led to greater efficiency and resilience across our system. Infrastructure overhaul. We've nearly completed a massive overhaul of our storage and server infrastructure, which now provides us with enhanced capacity, reliability, and future scalability. Looking ahead, future products will continue to build on this progress, further improving our infrastructure to meet the city's evolving needs. Improved authentication. In an effort to bolster security further, we have introduced improved authentication methods that safeguard both internal and external access. One thing to note here is BG Freenet enhancement. We are proud to report that BG Freenet is now on its own dedicated connection. This upgrade has been made for enhanced security and to further benefit the public, ensuring the network continues to operate efficiently while remaining secure. Some future security enhancements we're working on. We anticipate additional improvements to our security measures in the coming year, ensuring that we stay ahead of evolving threats and continue protecting city resources. Now that we're in budget season, budget optimization, our efforts have not only improved efficiency, but also will lead to more consistent and on average lower budgets compared to previous years. I would like to take a moment to talk about our team. We have a dedicated team. None of this would be possible without the hardworking and dedicated staff in the IT department. I truly could not ask for a better group to work with. I'm proud of the collaborative, team-oriented management approach that we have all fostered together. And should anyone have any further questions for me, I'd be happy to answer those at a later time, as I cannot give away too much proprietary information since we're live on TV. But thank you for the time.
Does anyone want to know any secrets that will endanger the security of the city's system? Okay, thank you very much. That brings us to City Attorney, Mr. Brown.
Good evening. No report.
Are there any questions for Mr. Brown this evening? Okay. Public Infrastructure Director, Mr. O'Connell.
Just one update for you. The utility budget presentation for 2025 will be on Tuesday, November the 12th at 5 o'clock in this room. Usually we would meet on a Monday, but Monday is a holiday, so it'll be pushed to Tuesday. Be looking for information to come out the week before that for the budget information for you to review prior to that. So if you're able to attend, would love to have you here. The Board of Utilities will also be here that night. We typically have a working session with the board and city council just to present the budget. That's all I have unless you have questions.
Any questions for Mr. O'Connell? I just have one comment. I know that we just recently wrapped up the service pipe study.
Yes.
And I heard on Clint's radio show that we had no lead pipes. And I just want to thank you and the department for your commitment to our infrastructure over decades to make sure that we have quality service infrastructure available for, all of our residents, because not every city can say that. So, where it seemed it was just kind of a mention, hey, we checked everything is great, but it takes a lot of commitment, effort on behalf of people over decades to get that report to be that simple. So thank you to you and everyone in the department.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I'll let them know. Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to council committee reports. No council committee reports this evening? Okay, the reading of legislation. Jody?
Legislation for first reading. Resolution 3871 for first reading. Resolution authorizing the municipal administrator to sell surplus city-owned property by way of internet auction. Ordinance number 9234 for first reading. Ordinance amending and adopting section 73.15B of the codified ordinances of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding speed limits. Ordinance number 9235 for first reading. Ordinance authorizing the utilities director to enter into contracts for supplying annual inventory requirements, underground and overhead lines, insurance, and sale of scrap materials in 2025. Ordinance number 9236 for first reading. Ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator and utilities director to sell or trade vehicles and equipment no longer needed for municipal purposes. Ordinance number 9237 for first reading. Ordinance authorizing the utilities director to execute a power purchase agreement with American Municipal Power Incorporated and declaring an emergency.
I move to suspend the rules and give ordinance 9237 its second and third readings.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Jody?
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Okay. So the rules are suspended for ordinance 9237.
Ordinance number 9237 for second and third reading. Ordinance authorizing the utilities director to execute a power purchase agreement with American Municipal Power Incorporated and declaring an emergency.
I would like to move to adopt the emergency clause for ordinance 9237.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Jody?
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause is adopted for ordinance 9237. I move that we adopt ordinance 9237.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh.
Yes, ordinance 9237 is adopted.
Ordinance number 9238 for first reading. Ordinance accepting deed from Ohio Logistics LTD and dedicating the property for right-of-way and municipal and utility purposes. Ordinance number 9239 for first reading. Ordinance accepting an easement from Mauer Rentals LLC and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps?
I move to suspend the rules and give ordinance 9239 its second and third reading.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Jody?
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave.
Yes.
Okay, the rules are suspended for ordinance 9239.
Ordinance number 9239 for second and third readings. Ordinance accepting an easement from Mauer Rentals LLC and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps?
I move to adopt the emergency clause for ordinance 9239.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'll just note that the administration requested 3 readings and the emergency clause here, hoping to get this sidewalk in during construction season this year.
Okay. Jody?
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio.
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause is adopted for ordinance 9239.
Mr. President, excuse me, sorry, I move to adopt ordinance 9239.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 9239 is adopted.
Legislation for second reading. Ordinance number 9232 for second reading. Ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to request proposals and enter into a contract for the purchase of transportation service for the Bowling Green Transit Program. Ordinance number 9233 for second reading. Ordinance authorizing the designation of a portion of North Maple Street as a historic district on the local historic register with historic overlay zoning as suggested by the Historic Preservation Commission. Legislation for third reading. Ordinance number 9227 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing the utilities director to enter into contracts for the purchase and sale of equipment.
I move to adopt ordinance 9227.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 9227 is adopted.
Ordinance number 9228 for third reading. Ordinance amending and adopting sections 35.70, 98.24, and 151.17 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding city fees and fees charged for services, encumbering street or sidewalks, and fees subdivision regulations.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps?
I move to adopt ordinance 9228.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 9228 is adopted.
Ordinance 9229 for third reading. Ordinance accepting deed and accepting easement from Sutas Pitpat Jarazget and dedicating the property for right-of-way purposes for East Wooster Street and Mercer Road.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps.
I move to adopt ordinance 9229.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 9229 is adopted.
Ordinance number 9230 for third reading. Ordinance repealing Chapter 119 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding going out of business sale.
Mr. President,
Mr. Odericio.
I move to adopt ordinance 9230.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay. Jody?
Musgrave,
Yes.
Odericio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh.
Yes. Ordinance 9230 is adopted. Is there any other business? As a government teacher, I too like to make note before an election that there's an election. And I know this one has been particularly quiet, so prior to the mayor mentioning anything tonight, you probably were all unaware that we do have an election tomorrow, so. But for democracy to function, citizens must participate. So if you're one of the 20 to 25% of Wood County residents that have already voted, God bless you. And if you aren't, you have one day left, so. Any other business to come before council? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
Nice.